guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tanya, and today I'm going to do a reaction video for you. Today I'm reacting to from down under to down south, who I've reacted to before a few times. I really like his channel. He is at just under 2,000 subscribers, so everybody go and show him some love. Go subscribe to his channel if you have not done that yet. Let's try to get him to 2,000 subscribers. He is at currently 1.87. He makes really good videos, so let's show him some love. So today's video that we are reacting to is called 11 New Australian Slang Words Americans Need to Know Before Visiting. He just uploaded this video a day ago, so it's brand new. And I've done a lot of these types of slang videos and reactions. So I've learned a lot of them, but he says 11 new ones. So I don't know if this is just going to be like sort of like Gen Z slang or something that we're going to learn about, or if this is going to be slang that anybody uses, but most people don't know. I don't know. We're going to find out. I suppose maybe it would not even be Gen Z, would it? It would probably be like Gen Alpha. Is that the newest one? Gen Alpha, Gen Beta? I don't know the ages anymore. I'm getting old.
The Oxford Dictionary just admitted that they were wrong about Australian English and officially added 11 words that prove we weren't just making stuff up. Some of these took them 200 years to figure out, and their definitions barely scratched the surface of what these words really mean to us Aussies. Now, some of these words will have Aussies feeling vindicated, while our American friends are about to discover why we sound so different.
Nah, we're cactus.
Pig's ass, you and Amy are dinky die.
We've carked it.
Oh, she will be stoked.
She was spewing.
I have to admit, a couple of these I had never heard before. So let me know your thoughts about these in the comments too. And let's start with the category that...
Americans actually do use the word stoked, though. I don't know if that's something that you guys know or not.
It's most Australian of all, our drinking culture. First up, goon. Now, Oxford defines it as a plastic foil-lined pouch in which inexpensive wine is sold. But they're missing the full picture here. Pretty much every Aussie teenager at some point has played a goon of fortune. You hang the goon bag on a Hills Hoist clothesline, spin it, and whoever it points to has to have a drink. Classic Aussie ingenuity right there. I remember my first goon of fortune experience at X Block of the student dorm at Charles Sturt.
I don't remember if it was his channel or if it was another channel, but I've heard of this. It might have actually been his channel that I heard of it. But yeah, this is something so funny. No, we do not do this here. But drinking culture is a big thing, especially in the Midwest, because in the Midwest, like, there is nothing else to do. So we all drink. We do these things in the Midwest called like field parties, like cornfield parties or something, where it's exactly what it sounds like. You just go out into a great big cornfield and you party. We did stuff like that when I was younger.
In Wagga, highly sophisticated, drinking fruity Lexia and spinning that silver bag around like it was some ancient Wiradjuri ritual. Looking back, it was probably the most Australian thing that we could have done. Then there's cask, the box that holds the goon bag. Now, Americans call it box wine, but that just sounds too formal, doesn't it? We've got the whole ecosystem sorted.
Well,
the cask.
Box wine doesn't sound formal. I don't know if anyone else thinks this, but I mean, maybe it's just because it's only called box wine in America, but if you hear box wine, like if you hear someone say that they drink box wine, usually like they're just like a wino, you know what I mean? Like someone who just drinks way too much wine and they're getting the box wine because that's the cheapest stuff. You know, that's the cheap wine.
The goon and the sacred ritual of the goon of fortune. And slab, officially now defined as a retail pack of beer, typically containing 24 cans or bottles. I remember my first trip to an American liquor store when I moved here,
call it a
asking for a
case.
slab and getting the blankest stare you've ever seen. The poor cashier thought I was wanting building materials. Try explaining to someone that you need a
If somebody came in and told me they needed a slab of something, I literally would think they mean a slab of meat, because that's what we call a slab, like slab, or that, like that's one of the ways that we use the word slab, is like a slab of meat.
slab for the weekend barbecue, and they'll think
Yeah.
you're about to go and renovate the deck, not stocking up for a good time with your mates. Now, here's one that really hits home. Spew.
Spew, like throw up.
Oxford says it means when someone is bitterly disappointed or very annoyed about something.
Don't say that, because that irritates me, and I punch blokes in the mouth for
He was
saying that.
spewing.
But when an Aussie says they're absolutely spewing, we're not talking about being sick and vomiting. We're devastated or furious. Like how I was spewing when I first saw how Australia.
I think in America it's both. I think that it's either A, spewing, you're throwing up, or B, spewing like you're angry. But if I had to guess, I would say more people use it as throwing up than they do as angry.
And lamb prices in the US are actually cheaper than what they are back home. Or when your team loses in the final second. That's the kind of gut-wrenching frustration that only spewing can really properly describe. Americans might say they're bummed or disappointed, but spewing captures that raw Australian emotion perfectly. Now, the sports section is really where Oxford shows that they've been paying attention. Can't. Officially the colloquial pronunciation of come on. Every AFL fan knows this one. You'll hear it echoing through the MCG on grand final day.
I haven't
Can't
heard
the
this.
Swannies, or whatever team you're barracking for. Best and Fairest finally made
That's
it
new to
in there
me.
too, and that's the award for exceptional performance and good sportsmanship in Australian rules football or rugby league. It's not just about being the best player, it's about being a good bloke or a woman too. Character matters as much as what your skill does. And don't argue. Officially described as a push or blow to the face, delivered to fend off a potential tackler. In footy, it's that straight arm technique that says, not today, mate. The name itself is so Australian, it's not called a stiff arm or a handoff like in other sports. It's called a don't argue. Because that's
funny.
exactly what it says to the guy that's trying to tackle you.
See, I don't know sports terms anyway, so I don't know any of these.
Now, this is a word that I had never heard before, Balander. It's a word from an
Balander?
Aboriginal language referring to white people. And Oxford explains it comes from the Makassarese language of South Sulawesi in what is now Indonesia. The word tells a story about Australia's history that most people don't know. The fact that Indigenous Australians were trading and interacting with Indonesian cultures for centuries before Europeans arrived shows how sophisticated and connected these communities were. Custodian now has an Indigenous meaning too. An Australian Aboriginal person who is recognised as having certain ancestral rights to and traditional obligations, responsibilities and authority for a particular area of land and community. This is in many ways recognition of Indigenous culture and understanding of connection to country. These aren't just words, they represent thousands of years of culture and knowledge. The other one that I had never heard before, gunzel.
Gunzel.
Australian slang for a person who loves trams or trains. And I guess every city has them, those enthusiasts who know.
My grandpa then would be a gunzel. He loved trains. My grandpa loved trains. He had this huge train setup in this basement, like the whole the tracks, the fancy trains, all the fancy stuff. None of us grandkids were allowed to touch it. That was grandpa's. And I remember, just side note, he died when I was 14, and I was asked to speak at his funeral. And the only thing I remember saying at the funeral, because I wrote a little speech, but the only thing I remember about it was saying something along the lines of, whenever I see a train, I will always think of my grandpa. And it's true. Now, whenever I see trains, I always think of my grandpa.
Every timetable by heart and can tell you the difference between a W class tram and a B class. The fact that Oxford recognise this shows that they understand Australian culture celebrates these passionate individuals. I guess we don't mock the Gunzels. We appreciate their dedication, even if we don't share their obsession with rolling stock specifications. And regional, meaning away from major cities. This one shouldn't really surprise anyone, but it's close to my heart because so much of real Australian culture comes from regional areas. Not just Sydney and Melbourne. I personally spent most of my life living in regional areas of Australia. The bush, the small towns, the mining communities. That's where you find...
So is regional what you would... Well, I guess you wouldn't say regional is rural because rural is rural, right? So, I wonder if where I live is considered regional because it's a small city. I don't know.
And the true Aussie spirit. When Americans ask me about Australia, they usually think of the Opera House or the Great Barrier Reef. But the real Australia, the one with the strongest accents, the most generous
so pretty.
hospitality,
Oh my
and the
God.
most authentic experiences, that's all regional Australia. Living in America now, I can tell you how confusing it was trying to explain
I
these
love that
words to my
style of
American
work.
mates. Try explaining Goon of Fortune at a dinner party and you can just imagine the looks you get. The concept of hanging a bag of wine on a clothesline and spinning it just for entertainment just doesn't really compute with American culture.
Now, if you were to say that to most Americans, you know, stick a bag of wine on a clothing line and spin it or whatever, most people will think you're kind of nuts. But like I said, if you were to say to a bunch of Midwestern people, hey, this is what we're going to do at this party, everybody would be down. We would all be down. We'd all do it.
Culture. Or telling someone you're absolutely spewing about something and watching them back away, thinking you're about to be sick. The interesting thing is how these words reveal cultural values as well. Americans might pregame with elaborate setups and expensive equipment.
Here, brand new item that is great. It is called the Coolest Cooler. Why is it so cool? Well, I'm gonna pull a blender out of it, attach it. It has a battery. Give it a spin, you can make your favorite drinks right here. And in the
Aussies will make entertainment out of a clothesline and a bag of cheap wine. It's resourceful, it's democratic, anyone can play regardless of budget, and it's quintessentially Australian. In the end, this isn't just about words getting into a fancy dictionary, it's about cultural recognition. For far too long, Australian English was seen as slang or informal, like we're just making stuff up as we go along. But these words represent real Australian experiences, traditions, and way of life. When Oxford recognises these words, they're recognising that Australian culture is legitimate, unique, and worth preserving. That matters, especially to those of us that are so proud of the country that we call home. So there you have it, 11 Aussie words that Oxford finally admits are dinky-die. Which one surprised you the most? I reckon Belander will be new to a lot of people, even people back home. Drop a comment and let me know which of these words you use most often. Or if there are other Aussie words, new ones especially, that you think Oxford should add next.
That was actually a lot different than what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was honestly going to be more geared towards like brand new, this is what kids today are saying or something like that. That was really interesting. I honestly think though that I don't think that that is, yes, Australia is unique in their language and in their slang and stuff. But I think that could be said about probably most countries. Kind of everyone has things in their own country that is unique to them and their own slang or their own ways of wording things or whatever. I don't think America's any different. I think I kind of think like every country is like that, you know. I think that's kind of where you get stereotypes from too. I wonder if there's anything uniquely American. It's hard for Americans to think of stuff because we are American and we just live in our own culture. Oh, there's my heater. Sorry, it's cold out. But if you guys can think of anything like very American, a very Americanism that I can't think of right now, let me know in the comments. I do sometimes hear a lot of people, though, in like Australia and the UK and stuff, will say that they will adopt some of our slang just because they hear it so often in movies and TV shows. Maybe that's why it's less common for us to have our own things, because there is so much stuff in TV and stuff that everyone else watches. So it's a little bit harder for Americans to have things that other people just don't know about. I don't know. Anyway, as always, that was a very interesting video. Like I said, leave Aussie Mike love in his comments and go subscribe to his channel. Let's help him get to 2,000 subscribers. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed today's video, please give it a like, subscribe if you haven't done that yet, and I'll see you next time.